For the folks that don't know us, CDVS or Corporate Data and Voice Solutions, a little bit about us. We focus on the customer and what is important to them. We do use a consultative approach to help customers improve communications internally and externally, and that's why one of our favorite vendors that we have on with us, Five9, is going to help show how they can help improve communications. We act as an extension of the customer's team. We assist with project planning and implementation. We are an ongoing additional resource for our customers. We use a high touch, of course, a no touching approach today. Extremely high customer retention rate. We're passionate about what we do. And of course, we are honest. We have integrity and accountability. So pretty simple format and foundation of our company. And it's helped us be quite successful in the 17 years that we've been in existence. And last but not least, we want to be your partner, not just your vendor. We want to be that ongoing relationship and help our customers be the best they can be, improve again in the communications world, but help customers grow if that's what they're on this earth to do. So thank you again for attending. Stay safe, stay positive, and I am going to turn it over to Mike B and Dan and Paul for the time being.
Thanks, Joe. Great. Joe, can you confirm you can see my desktop okay? You can hear me all right?
Can hear you, yes.
And you can see the desktop?
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Hey, everybody. Hey, Mike B here. I'm the partner advocate for Five9. I work with influential partners like Joe and his team and helping his customers move their contact center to the cloud. With me today, my partner in crime, my good friend also from New Hampshire, is Dan Peterson, who's our Regional VP of Sales. And the man behind the curtain who's going to bring the PowerPoint to real life for us with a great little demo is Paul Bernardo. He's our Senior Solution Consultant, and he lives in Peabody. So the first slide here, moving CX to the cloud. I think we need to take a quick pause, take a little breath here, and say, Mike, what is CX? So Dan, the first acronym of the day, we should probably explain what it is and what it's translating to. So what is CX in your opinion?
Yeah, really great question, and it's a very widely used term. You'll see the acronym put out there, Customer Experience, CX, and it's more from lots of previous names, right? Customer Journey and things of that nature. But what I believe CX or Customer Experience really is today is the total engagement for any interaction you have with a customer. Now, you kind of got to back up and define customer. Your customer are what you would traditionally consider your customers. Those are those individuals and businesses that are buying and consuming your purchases and or services, right? But your customers can also be internal. A great example there is I've got an IT help desk. My customers are my employees that are reaching into that help desk for help with their applications, their PC, etc. It may be partners. It may be other aspects of your environment, staff, right, for different things that they utilize within the organization. So that customer experience, whether it's a phone call, a text-based interaction, a self-help tool, it is that entire environment that has made them feel good or not good about dealing with your business. And the goal here is to leverage strategies, technologies, and processes to make that a positive experience, because as we all know, when I have a good customer experience, I spend more, I do more business with that company. Is that helpful, Mike?
Yeah, it's a great lead in. It's like almost as if you've seen these slides before, Dan. It's a great lead in, and it's all about customer response. So there's a term out there, and in the chat window, I want to see this. Who's heard of the term switching economy before? Right? So switching economy is really the idea that if you're working with vendor A and you have a bad experience, or in your term, a bad experience, you move to vendor B. If you have a bad experience with vendor B, you move to vendor C until you get all the way up to quadruple Z, right? So in this switching economy, this digital economy we live in, the customer experience, or what we like to call the customer response, is really critical, because people's expectations have changed and escalated over time, right? 15 years ago, it was call our toll-free number, wait on hold for an hour, and be happy we get to you. Now it's, hey, I'm going to send you a chat. I'm going to send you an email. I'm going to call you. If you don't respond to me in 5 minutes, well, guess what? There's 5 other vendors down the street who will talk to me, right? So Dan, with your long sales career here, here are some great customer service factors. What are a couple of things driving the conversation around CX based upon what you see on the screen here?
Yeah, I think the biggest shift we're seeing, between our partners like Joe's team and our other partners in the market, providing technologies to assist people in delivering a better customer experience, because the people are really the front line of that customer experience of your organization. It's having knowledgeable people, having people that are responsive and focused on that customer experience, but it's not doable without proper information. And if you look at this, a lot of it is first-time resolution. It's being knowledgeable about the question I'm asking. And so making sure that when you focus on the customer experience, you're not only focusing on the customer part of the equation also includes traditionally known as agents, but your people that are speaking to your customers.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. We hear a lot about chat bots and bots and automation. At the end of the day, people buy from people get service from people, and it's that human experience that people really want to have. I don't know about you, but when I enter a chat, I realize I get a bot. I know I'm not going to get help. I just type the word human, and all of a sudden I get a live agent, and I have a really good interaction. But I think what your customers are experiencing and what they don't want to happen is, like I mentioned before, you call a toll-free number, you have to push 14 buttons to get to the customer service department. So they want an easy human, and here at Five9, we use the word empathetic a lot. Empathy, right? We want the agents to be empathetic to their customers and solve their problem, because they know if they do it right the first time, they're going to have a much more loyal customer who switches fewer and fewer times. All right, so our CEO here at Five9, Rowan Trollope, we love our leader. He said the contact center will change more in the next 5 years than in the last 25. So what does he mean by that? So I want you to close your eyes and think of what your interpretation of a contact center is, right? Do you picture JetBlue Airlines or Delta Airlines? Or do you picture the 2 people in your organization in customer care that helps your company gain and retain customers? A contact center is nothing more than a team of individuals with the same goal of giving great customer experience, giving great customer care, giving great customer service. And Dan, you work with organizations of all sizes, from Fortune 100 companies to Fortune 25,000 companies, right? Are you seeing that the contact center is, in some instances, they're getting a fewer number of people?
It's not fewer number of people. It's just the way they're dealing with the contact center and how they're addressing the challenges to support the customer's requirements. And I think what we're seeing more is a shift on the customer's demand for customer service. The expectations are higher. The options to have voice and other channels are higher, right? So it's a complete solution. Voice is not going away. It's actually increasing statistically, but so are other aspects of the channels, because the demand of the customer is higher.
Yeah. And we see in technology drive a lot of this, right, Dan? That on premises, it kind of had its time, but the cloud is taking over. And I always say that 87% of all statistics are made up to prove your point, but I think there are some solid statistics out there that we see. And 2 things I pointed out on this slide is that most organizations really see a cloud-based contact center, cloud-based anything really, as a competitive differentiator. It's more nimble. It's easier to scale. But the last one in green is really important. Gartner is the de facto analyst leader in our space, as well as in unified communications. And they're no longer putting out their magic quadrant that companies pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to access for on-premises contact center or on-premises UC. They feel those technologies have gained maturity, are at full maturity, and will not get any better than they are today. So if something's not getting better, Dan, what does that mean? It's getting worse, right?
Right. Well, it's going away, right?
It's going away, yeah.
That's
all right. So let's talk about typical reasons to move to a cloud contact center. We're not going to dive into each of these. What I would really like to see on the chat line, though, is pick your favorite here. Where do is your organization looking at cloud from a financial model, an OpEx model versus a CapEx, a scalable model? Maybe it's more simple. You no longer, because it's cloud-based, you don't have to show up on a Saturday evening at 2 a.m. to put a Microsoft patch on. Maybe you have to move to the cloud quickly, and we're seeing quite a bit of that today. Or maybe you just need better customization, better innovation, and better integration to our CRM. So Dan, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Scalability is very common in the contact center market because of buying cycles. Do you have any like real world examples of a customer that scales up and down or seasonal?
Yeah, we see this a lot in a couple different industries. Specifically online retailing, and depending on the type of retailer, clearly holidays are a big spike for activity. But if you take a real good example in the florist and gift giving for special occasions, they have very specific dates that are highly impactful to their industry, right? Valentine's Day, Mother's Day being two. And then sure, there's a spike for the holiday season and even Thanksgiving for delivering flowers. But those 2 dates in particular can triple, quadruple their demand instantly for 1 week, 2 days, 3 days, right? In the healthcare industry, the great example there is there's cycles for open enrollment, right? And so when you have that happen, there's a huge demand and spike, especially with the healthcare industry, which is confusing to just about everybody. They all need assistance in helping them make good decisions, get enrolled, change plans, get additional information. So those are 2 really good examples, and there's hundreds more. But having that scalability is a huge cost savings, but also a huge improvement on the ability of getting that customer satisfaction rate up there.
Right, and because there's no hardware involved, we can scale someone up from 100 agents to 400 agents, and then back down to 100 agents, and we just bill on consumption, and there's no hardware cost associated with that. Is that fair to say?
Very fair.
Okay, good. You coached me well on that one, Dan. I appreciate it. All right, so now 5 surprising reasons. You might not have thought about this, right? Cloud is more reliable. There's security factors in place. I dare say that everyone on this call has customers, some customer community not based in the United States or even Canada, right? And a couple of interesting ones are cross-tenant AI training and comparative analytics. All right, so in the chat, based upon this, kind of which one interests you about this? I will say that, Dan, when we talk about reliability a little bit, we had our sales kickoff recently, and we had the whole sales team and the whole professional services team there, and our VP of infrastructure, I'll never forget this, he was on stage and he said, all right, everybody, what's the #1 feature of Five9? And people are yelling out chat and email and global voice and all these other things. And he's like, those are all great, but the #1 feature is availability. If the product is not available, none of those other features matter. So can you help me understand why we say cloud is actually pretty reliable or more reliable?
Yeah, I believe it's more reliable because of the ability to have redundancy built in and to be able to move traffic from one, data server to another very easily without interruption. Because of that improved technology. Now, I might not have said that 5-10 years ago, but today, the ability to migrate from server to server, move traffic from carrier to carrier, at least in the environment of Five9, is seamless to the customer. And we do this every time we do any kind of maintenance upgrade or patch. Customers don't even know they're moving from a different data center. to the fact that we give them a heads up that we're doing it, but there's zero interruption to the agent. No logging in and logging out, back in. It just happens automatically. And so that's the reliability you get. Whereas a hardware-based system, you get a server go down and it's running your traffic, you have to replace that hardware piece of equipment, and that may take extra time to pull that one out, put a new one in, or reroute traffic by contacting your carriers to change routing of your traffic. So much more seamless.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So one of the things here at Five9, we talked about that empathy approach that we take, right? Not the automated approach. We take the human approach, and it's actually a formula, right? So what we try to do with every customer, large and small, we create a great customer experience, right? Give the customer tools coming in, and we match that up with the right agent. We give the agent all the tools to see who the customer is. We give them the great agent experience, and when we do it right, it creates a great human experience. And it's really part of our solution. In fact, our product is called Five9 EQ, right? This emotional quotient that we try to bring to on the customer side, the agent side. And when you do that, you really truly convert a call center into a customer experience center. You give the agents the tools to assist them to deliver a more human experience, right? However, if you can't measure something, how do you manage it? So we have to give the supervisors the tools they need to make sure that their agents are in line and they're providing the best customer service. And then the line of business owners, we give them the tools as well. I don't know about you, but the gentleman, the analyst, looks like Stanley Tucci, and he's doing that webinar, that mixology webinar series. So it always makes me smile when I see this slide.
Hey,
So,
Mike. Mike,
yeah.
Looks like Riley may have a question. She has her hand up, so I'm going to
Absolutely.
see if we can have Riley unmute herself and ask the question.
Yeah. Hey, Riley. No. Great.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Okay, perfect. Well, so interrupt us at any time, right? We're all
Absolutely.
well caffeinated, we're well animated. We could go on with the other 400 PowerPoint slides. But so a little bit about the Five9 story. We're going to keep this super brief because we want to get to Paul to show a few things. But so a lot of numbers on here. Dan, what stands out to you? You've been in this industry a long time, but what resonates with customers with the slide?
Yeah, really good point. And a lot of it's some of the things we covered that were stated by industry experts and some of the stats you've seen previously in this discussion. But the very top line, which is Five9 specific, 20 years of cloud contact center experience, which that's wonderful, right? But a 20-year-old in terms of adults is still a pretty young and experienced person. However, in the cloud, if you think about back in 2001 to 2003 timeframe, there was not a lot of people putting voice on the cloud. So when it comes to experience and understanding how to deliver a cloud-based contact center, we're number one, right? We get it. We understand it. We were built in the cloud. We did not migrate from a premise-based system. So we were built as a cloud-based infrastructure and culture, which is just as important to deliver cloud appropriately in a cloud environment. That's number one. We've talked about the analysts and how they've migrated away from premise-based reporting and so forth, but understand that all of the major specializes in the contact center rank Five9 extremely high. And they also recognize that we have all of the cloud security certifications, PCI compliant for those customers that are doing payment processes and need the security and redaction capabilities for privacy. SOC 2 type 2 provider. So GDPR for those that have, international and global that need those certifications. Those are really key checkboxes, but aren't easy to acquire and build for. So being a leader in space allows us to be able to share that. Obviously, having the flexibility of your program in the cloud, no one platform now does everything for everybody. And the flexibility of that allows us to interact and connect to different systems. So that's what you see with the APIs. We talked about the reliability. And then obviously, because we are focused on the cloud contact center space, many of your clients and our clients are using CRM products. They're using different UC products. They're using other tools to do workforce management and quality management. And so the relationships with this ecosystem that we have allows you to have a foundational platform in your contact center that allow you to grow and take advantage of AI, co-browsing, your UC integrated environment, leveraging the data in your CRM so I can do data dips and routing. So it's a real complete solution with the extendability to go where you want to go today, tomorrow, and beyond.
Yeah, that's a great point. And as a reminder, we're not the phone system, right, Dan, right?
Correct.
Joe and his team, they can provide that best of breed, and we'll integrate to basically any phone system on the planet, whether it's premises-based or cloud-based. Fair and accurate, right?
Yep, exactly. Often referred to as your UCaaS or UC environment.
Right.
And it includes not only your collaboration and your sharing tools like we're on today for this webinar, but it's also your phone, your office phones, right? Your conference phones, your door entry systems. And that's where Joe and his team have expertise to help you with those.
Perfect. So what we are on this slide, we're that middle piece. We're that intelligent routing engine that takes some form of interaction from a customer from whatever channel they want. Are they going to send us an email? They're going to chat live with us. They're going to SMS us, or heaven forbid they actually pick up the phone and call us. And what we do is we tie that to some intelligent piece of information, from a CRM package to an AI package who we partner with, and we present all that information to the agent, right? That says, oh, Dan's calling in. I saw last week he texted. 2 weeks ago he emailed. Yesterday he chatted on our website. Now he's calling in. So Dan's probably coming in pretty hot because obviously his question has to be answered. I need to be as empathetic as I can with him to make sure I give him the best service possible. If we don't provide that information to the agent, if we just drop Dan in the agent's lap, it's probably not going to go really well. So what we do is we're like the matchmaker, right? We take all the relevant information from one side and all the relevant information from the other side. We put it all together in an easy to consume format. That's what we do. Couple of strategic acquisitions. We won't spend much time on this. We bought an iPaaS platform. Actually, Wendu, the founders of Five9, when they left Five9, they founded this company, and we brought them back. So we got the band back together. This will be our integration platform to Slack and WhatsApp and things like that. And then we brought a quality metrics provider as well. Again, a company that we have over 150 customers together. To add a single platform. All right, so this is an important one. We are one of 2 companies in the CCaaS space to publish our uptime statistics publicly. Everyone else kind of says, we're doing okay. And there's a term out there you'll hear quite a bit called an SLA, right? We promise a 4 nines SLA, 5 9 SLA, whatever. What we do is we show you our uptime. This is our SLI. This is critical. This is the expectation of the uptime you can expect when you move to 5 nines. Now, Dan, I have to ask the question, right? The name of our company is 5 9, yet we're 4 nines and a 2. Mm-hmm. What am I missing here?
About 0.008. It's about as funny as I get. No, so as people that are on, heavy on the tech side and uptime understand these metrics, 5 nines is considered the true nirvana for uptime for any type of technology platform. We believe we are leading the pack in this availability within our platform. We are striving towards 5 9 each and every day, as technology companies should. We have obtained it at periods of time, but because we're very transparent and do it for the last trailing 12 months, you're showing 4 nines and a 2, which is our actual uptime historically over that past 12 months. But there are periods of time where we've hit 5 nines and better at a quarter, a month, couple of quarters at a time, but we're tracking the 12 months. So that's where that gap is.
Perfect. And then SLA is just a promise, or a hope, right? We hope we're going to hit this number, but
yeah, the confusion with SLA is that really is a contractual obligation.
There you go.
And with any valid SLA, there should be some terms of payback or monetary credit for any miss of an SLA.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the last slide before we turn over to Paul is more about trust, right? So here at Five9, we do our own deployments, whether it's 2 users or 20,000 users. It's a badge Five9 employees, someone who's on the Five9 401k plan, just like Dan, Paul, and myself. So that way we have a vested interest in every single customer, right? We're not using third parties. The other part to this is the sales team stays with Joe for sure and the customer through the whole process, the sales process, the discovery process, and then the go live process. That way, every member of the Five9 team is vested in your success. And when we do it right, and when any company does it right, they get a great net promoter score. And this is something that we're just so incredibly proud of. One of our head of implementation just came from another vendor, and what he told us was they were struggling to get to 0. True story, right? So when he came here, he's like, wow, my work here is done. But there's always improvements to be made. And this is something that we're really, really proud of. All right, so the question is, as you move teams remotely or to the cloud in general, if you can't see them, how do you measure them? And more importantly, how do you manage them? So I'm going to stop my share. I'm going to ask that Paul take over and talk about the Five9 kind of platform and how that is in tune with this remote environment we're in today.
Sure, thanks, Mike. Let me get my screen shared, and I will jump right in.
Yep, and while he's doing that, reminder, please ask questions either via chat or raise a hand. We're happy to field them in real time.
And then Paul, just real quick, just your background, just for the audience who might not know you.
Yep. Just let me know if you can see my screen, Mike.
I gotcha. Thanks, buddy.
Perfect. Okay. So very brief background. So as Mike mentioned, I am a Massachusetts native. I'm up in Peabody. I actually spent 10 years as a customer of Five9. I was worked for a large business process outsourcing company based in Beverly that used Five9 from 2009 until I moved over to Five9 directly. Still a customer. So I've used the platform for a very long time. I was obviously very happy with it and chose to continue, making my way down that path when I decided to continue on. So very happy to be involved here and kind of walk through very briefly what the solution looks like. And obviously, if there's any questions, we'll go from there. Excellent. So what's actually on my screen is the Five9 Agent Desktop Plus. So calling out to the slide that Mike showed right before we actually jumped in, we are putting out a web-based solution. So the solution is accessed via web browser. So the minimum requirements that we're going to have for agents are going to be a web browser, a headset, and an internet connection. As long as the internet connection is relatively stable, and with COVID, we found that even very minimum internet connections with Wi-Fi are going to work just fine. So what you'll see in the solution is a full solution that's going to be just accessed via the browser. So it is everything ACD, so the call routing, the smart management of who gets connected to who, the IVR, your greetings, prompts, queue, things like that. That's all being done in our data center. So all we're actually doing for the agents is just passing a call down to them. So I can actually see that I'm logged into the application. I've got a call in queue. So in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to accept that call. I'm going to switch my state to be in the queue. And a couple things are going to happen. That call is going to ring into me. I'm going to accept that call. And at that point, I'm going to get a screen pop of scripting. So we do have built-in scripting in the application. And so the question comes up, how do you manage remote agents? How do you ensure that they have the tools they need? This is one of those tools. So traditionally the agents would have, physical papers and a binder. That's how it was at my old center. They've got a binder, the stack of encyclopedia with everything they've got to know about the, customers. That's what this scripting is intended to replace. Is if we're doing data dips to maybe back-end solutions, we can pull some of that data in and display it. We can say how long the customer was waiting for, so you can apologize for a wait, or if it's a quick wait, you can jump right in. Anything that you need to know, greetings, context, maybe return policies have changed because of the coronavirus that's going on. So all of that can be put here in a nice, friendly format that ensures that agents are ready to assist the customer. So as soon as that call comes in, and depending on maybe what number they call into or anything else that we know about them, we can change the screen as well. So being able to provide that integral comfort level that when the agent does get that call, it's routed to the correct agent based on what we know about the caller, and at the same time, they've got the tools they need to immediately assist them. They don't have to, struggle to find the information and go through that encyclopedia binder and try to find the right information. So the other thing I think that's very important is the soft phone. So traditionally, soft phone gets a little bit of a bad rap in the industry. Usually it means you've got to install something separate. This is our soft phone. So what you actually see on the left-hand side, these big friendly buttons, hold, transfer, the keypad, this is exactly what we're actually producing as part of the application. There's nothing else the agents have to log into. So what we'll find is if you do have an agent that goes home and works remotely, it's usually very easy for them to get up and running immediately. If they've ever used any application that's web-based, typically it's very simple to find out what these buttons do. There's no secrets, transfers, conferences, and it's friendly, very explanatory buttons that helps them through it. So the idea is we've tried to make this application easy with the understanding that there may not always be a supervisor or a peer over their shoulder to help them use the application.
Hey, Paul.
Yep.
Hey, we have a question from Adam
Sure.
in the chat here, so I'll read it. Is it possible to leverage CTI to interact with a back-end order management system?
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. And we don't dive into that here, but the idea is we're going to look to use CTI. So we are our own CTI engine. We don't use an outside company for that. We build all of that using the application you see and using our administrative tool. So that's what we're going to look to do is any platform, whether it's a CRM, so a Salesforce or something you guys have built, or an order management platform that can get us this info, and we can also push information to it automatically. That's what we're going to look to integrate to. And Dan, I'm sure you can share that we do that. I think almost every customer we work with has some platform that we want to integrate to. Very few are usually using the standalone. It's usually as part of a larger ecosystem.
Great. Adam, let us know if that didn't answer your question. Appreciate the question, and you get a second chance to win one of the gift cards at the end.
Excellent. And so this is a voice interaction. Obviously, we're in an omni-channel world. Voice is not the only channel. It's not going anywhere. They've been saying that for probably longer than I've been in this industry, that voice was going to go away. It's still going to be king, but you've got to have those other channels. And so to that point, it is a full omni-channel solution. So if I actually wrap up this interaction and go back into queue, I did a mock-up of the CDVS website just to kind of show how we can present those channels. We've got the ability to provide real-time live chat, so you can simply input information, display that on a website, and that actually then routes back into the application for the agent. So that will actually come in as a chat interaction. I can accept it, and you'll see again, it's a very friendly format, big buttons, easy to use, things like canned responses, and all of that is in the same tool. So I can pivot back and forth between voice, chat, email, SMS, social messaging, all the channels you'd expect to have in a single solution, and all using the same tool. So for your actual agents, there's not a lot of training uplift. If you've got remote agents, they're not struggling to figure out how to use your chat tool and your voice tool. We're doing that all in a single tool. To that point, we've also got self-service. So if you do have customers and you want to provide them a more visual experience, we are offering things like visual IVR, where you can actually present a simplified format of what the customer needs help with, and potentially once you've provided them assistances, text-based or links to other information, you can actually have them speak to another representative, and at that point they can input their information to be called back. They can do a live chat, a video chat, send you an email. So we've got these multiple entry points into the platform above and beyond what was traditional voice that most customers are using, to make sure that if people are stuck at home, they don't have to wait in that long phone queue. This says 3 minutes, maybe this says 90 minutes. I can enter a live chat right away. I don't have to try to guess what the best method to get into the solution is. And so that about wraps up what we're looking at for the agent UI. So looking at that and
Hey,
flipping
Paul?
around. Yep, please.
Sounds like it looks like we have another question from
Oh, sure.
Robin.
Go ahead.
Is Five9 solution primarily for B2B or B2C or healthy blend?
I would say any of the above. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched Dan on mute because I knew he wanted to answer this one really bad. So I'll let Dan do it.
Yeah. It's really designed for anybody who wants to improve their customer experience we've been talking about. We have to your point, Joe, a very healthy blend of B2B customers as well as B2C, as well as customers that service both. So as long as they're looking to have better interactions, better information sharing for their agents and their customers, the platform is perfect for that environment.
Yep. Yeah, Dan hit the nail on the head. But we don't have, our vertical spans nearly any market vertical, and the types of customers can be business, can be consumer, and can be a mix of the two. The other piece we have included in here is with the voice component, we do have dialer as well. So we do have that automated dialing if you wanted to reach out to B2B, B2C, and proactive messaging and things like that. But definitely a healthy blend of the two. Excellent. Yeah, any other questions come up, please feel free to keep sending them through. So the other piece of this, so this is the agent application, and this is, sort of the cockpit for if I'm an agent. Again, if we're looking at that, post-COVID world where there may not always be a supervisor right over the shoulder, how do I actually keep track of what's going on in the contact center and with my agents? That's going to be our supervisor application. So if I actually flip over to another tab, this is sort of the inverse. So if I'm a supervisor and let's say I'm, obviously working remotely, as the majority of the country is doing right now, how do I know what's going on with my actual contact center? So what we've actually designed is a widget-based view. And the intention here is that I can have real-time analytics for what's going on with my agents, my queues, my stats for the day, without even stepping foot in the actual contact center. So the idea is this is a customizable view. It's widget-based, drag and drop. You can select what metrics you'd like, things such as how many agents are logged into specific queues, how many of those are actually on an interaction, how many calls do I have in queue, what are my service levels, how many abandoned calls have I had today, all the way down to what's going on with my actual agents. So this is real-time updating our agents ready in the queue. What are they ready for? Chat, email, voice. If they're not ready, what are they doing? Are they on break? Or if they are actually on interaction, you can actually click on that interaction immediately and you can drill down and start to listen. So I can actually hear that interaction. I can whisper to that agent. So I can actually become, sort of that voice in the ear of the agent traditionally, that if I was just walking the floor, I could pop up behind them. And if that call escalates to a point where I think they need assistance, I can actually barge in real time. I can also send a message to that agent through the Five9 application, maybe to give them a cue of something else they could do. So I've got the tools in front of me to make sure that even if I'm not sitting in front of agents, I know what customer they're talking to, what brand they're working with, what line the customer called, what type of interaction they're working in, how long it's been. All that data is available here, just like if I was sitting right behind the agent. And to that point, I can actually drill down into specific agents and see some stats. I can see their history, review past recordings. I can see for the day how many calls have they had, what disposition codes have they been using, so what types of calls have they had. And if I see that perhaps, there's a large group of calls, maybe we added a brand new queue for customers that are just calling about a special, I can actually go in and change their queues in real time. So the idea that I've got that full suite of management to the platform, regardless of where my agents are, whether I've got agents sitting in a contact center, I've got agents sitting remotely, that's the solution we're trying to deliver, and that's where we're finding a lot of success. And so I'll pause there. That's sort of the abbreviated, I think, 15-minute view of Five9, and flip it over to you, Dan and Mike B, if there's anything else you guys want to layer on.
So one of the things that might be important to the team is, integration to PBXs, whether on-premises or cloud-based. Can we import like a contact list so that way we can easily call or transfer out of the contact center? Is that possible?
Yeah, excellent question. That is 100% what we can do. So we've got a built-in contact book here where we've got the ability to provide an address book of outside contacts. But then I'll do you one better, Mike, is if your UC solution is something else, like a Zoom that you're already using or a Teams, we've got the ability to actually display that in here using a shared address book. So whether it's a PBX that you're on today that you want us to just link to and show those contacts in here and have them click to dial or search by name, or if you're already using something like a Teams, we've got that available here to make sure that we've got that shared address book so that those contact center agents, no matter where they're sitting, have a list of resources they can reach out to. So very good question, Mike.
Great. Now this looks great, and it looks maybe different than what we're used to. Now, besides going to Joe's team for training, what does Five9 offer for both an agent and supervisor to make sure they get up to speed quickly?
Yep, excellent question. So we've got what we call Five9 University. So if I actually click on right here, and while that loads, I'll talk. We actually produce little bite-sized videos. So traditionally, rather than having to sit through this long 3-hour training, the idea that an agent maybe just forgets how to do something, we're going to provide built-in bite-sized videos, 2 minutes, 7 minutes. They can just click on and watch that video, and that comes along with the solution. Everyone who has a login has that, and we've actually got that for agents and for supervisors, so that if they are at home, they are remote, they're not having to call and do screen shares. They can just say, you know what? I forgot how to do this function in Five9. Let me watch this 2-minute video and see right away how to do it and have someone walk me through it. So good question, Mike. I think that's important for everyone to understand that we're providing those resources with the application. You're on mute, Mike.
Sorry. Thank you.
So
You're good.
I have a question or a comment that you might want to explain for the team. I see this a lot with our customers and prospects, is that, these are mission critical applications and interactions they're having with their customers, right? Do they have to rip and replace everything all at once? What is our strategy and approach to doing a, one segment here, one group there? What are the options they have with a cloud platform like Five9?
Yeah, that's a good point, Dan. So this solution is implemented very differently in a good way from a traditional premise-based platform where there is a little bit more effort to do that. So the idea is that this platform can actually be stood up very quickly, typically within 48 hours, and you can segment off and have, maybe one department operating it, add additional as you go, and add additional features. If you decided today you wanted to start with these voice features, and down the road you wanted to add chat or email, those are just toggle on features in Five9. We're not doing a full rebuild, rip, replace, anything like that. So most customers are doing it that way. The majority of customers are saying, we've got this maybe internal IT help desk that we want to start with Five9, or we've got this group that really needs some of these features and functionalities from Five9. So it's a good way to get comfortable with the platform and then eventually migrate over to it as a full long-term solution. And that's a very popular situation that we're running into. So thank you, Dan.
Yeah. Joe, any questions on the chat or anybody raising a hand from the audience?
I don't see any additional questions. Let me double check the hand. I think we're good.
Excellent. I will stop sharing and turn it back to you folks. And thank you so much for having me on here. And any questions that come up, obviously afterwards, Dan and Mike can get those to the right folks.
Yeah, I was going to give Joe and the corporate data team a chance to ask any questions. Since you guys work directly with your partners and the frontline customers, what questions are you seeing lately? And have you seen a shift related to the impacts of COVID and how we can help them address that?
Yeah, we're almost in a second phase, right? That's what we're seeing. The initial phase, if you will, the immediate shift from having people working in the office primarily, now they had to ship people home that normally they weren't working from home. So that first phase, as I call it, first 2 to 3 weeks was helping organizations get the most out of whatever they had, right? Yep. As you know, Dan and Mike and Paul, we've been selling voice over IP technology for over 17 years now. So for the most part, they had some tools that we could help them with. Yeah. Sometimes it wasn't ideal. Maybe the people working from home, weren't giving enough equipment in some time. So literally, we're sending calls to their home phone or a mobile phone, but we're able to get them working. That was the key. So
almost like a triage moment, right? Like just. Yeah.
It was all hands on deck. We were doing nothing but literally 8 to 5 and sometimes beyond, getting organizations to work at least at some level working from home, right? And then since then, it's okay. We have what we have.
Yeah.
How can we improve on that? Yeah. Right. So we've been having a lot of one-on-one, a lot of video calls, a lot of one-on-one video calls with organizations to help them understand whether this is something they can do now, or is it something that they have to do a little more planning for, and possibly do it, God forbid, sorry, but before maybe the fall, the second wave, right? Yep. So I guess that leads to a question of mine. How is Five9 doing in terms of ramping people up?
Yeah.
How are you handling this?
Yeah, really good question. And I would concur with your response to that, Joe, from you and your team. We're seeing the same thing. I called it, phase one was the knee jerk's the wrong term, but hey, the immediate panic mode. What do? We're survival mode, right? Let's get the sandbags in front of the garage so it doesn't flood in front of the basement. We're going to, get through this. We've got what we got right now for tools. Now it's okay. We've done what we can, what we have. What do we do now to improve going forward and to be better prepared the next time the next unknown happens, right? I think, unfortunately for all of us, we've tried to help a lot of people with DR and business continuity plans, right? And we all thought in some cases we're well prepared for it, but no one envisioned this type of scenario, right? And they always say it's what you don't know that you don't know.